Welcome back, Attack. Let's go ahead and jump right into the top 10 best MMO sandboxes that's coming out this year. These games are supposed to be open world and for the most part give you a huge amount of freedom. Possibly a lot of creation mechanics, maybe player housing, or maybe just a lot of destruction mechanics as well. Environmental destruction. Either way, the whole point of these games is that it's a big open world and a lot of freedom. With that in mind, we're going to rank these by which games look like they're going to give you the most polish, the most freedom, and overall, all the tools that you would want in a sandbox, and which games give you the most. Here we go, top 10 best sandbox MMO 2015. So let's go ahead and start the list by talking about H1Z1 because we already know what it's like, and we already know that it lacks a lot of polish. It honestly does, but in the end, it is actually a really good genre-defining game, I think, at least for being free to play, with an okay aesthetic. I mean, nothing groundbreaking there. But in the end, it gives us a huge amount of craftables, a lot of depth, and then the freedom to create fortresses, buildings, traps. There's just a lot of things that we can do, and of course we would want more, but then again, being free to play, they can always constantly update it, and the game can constantly evolve. From its alpha state, it was already pretty okay, but only from there, it's just gonna get better and better. And now we have Crowfall, which looks like it's going to be very similar to Albion Online, except it was far more immersive, and it's also gonna be using a shard system, so kind of similar to Shards Online, where you have a home world, and then you're going to these separate campaigns, as they're called in Crowfall, where you're fighting in an open world environment. It's not just PvP though, it is also PvE oriented. You just happen to have an enemy faction trying to kill you and take your loot as well. It seems like the game is going to be oriented kind of similar to open world PvP in World of Warcraft, except, you know, done right. It's also going to have voxel destruction, so if your enemies build up a castle, you can actually tunnel under it, or blow a hole through it, or just blow the whole castle up. Now that combined with the action combat seems like it's going to make PvE, PvP, or whatever you do in this game a blast. Okay guys, so I know Albion Online has made it to a couple of our top 10 lists. I mean, it's kind of genre defining, not just that it's a really good sandbox game, but also because it's on so many different platforms. We're going to be able to play it on our mobile devices, a sandbox hardcore PvP game on our mobile devices. That's actually pretty exciting, and so yes, it did make it to a lot of our top 10 games list, all sorts of different kind of genres, but really, for a pure sandbox game, of course it's going to make the list, not just because it is unique or anything like that, but because purely it's polished and it's going to give you all the tools that you want in a hardcore PvP sandbox game. And it's really as simple as that. Next up, we have Severium, which is going to be actually a little bit different than our usual open world survival MMOs, because that's going to be just one component of the game. This could be good or it could be really, really bad. Severium is actually going to have instance PvP battles as well as a co-op section. And then it's also going to have on the side, or potentially the main feature, is going to be an open world area where you can go and play like a survival MMO. Is the game going to have really good mechanics to hold up the PvP combat, or is it going to be lackluster because it's mainly focused on the open world? Whatever the case is, if they can find the right balance, it's going to be great. And if they can't find that equilibrium, then it's probably going to actually be horrible. Now here's a game that's probably not going to be for everyone. It seems like it's actually going to cater to a very niche and hardcore audience because this is the Repopulation. This is going to be a sci-fi shooter game that doesn't actually have shooting mechanics. It really plays like a usual MMO, but the issue with this game is that it has such an amount of content and so much that you can do in this game that's literally, it's not exactly for the brilliant new players, every casual gamer. It's actually meant for people who have a huge amount of patience and who truly want to experience a hardcore sandbox MMO experience with that whole Star Wars or Star Trek-y kind of themality. Now, The Division has a ton of potential, but then again, so did Destiny, and with Ubisoft's current track record, it has a lot of people losing hype and hope for The Division, but I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed because I think this game looks amazing. It seems like it already has a huge level of polish, but to how much freedom are we actually going to have? What access will be granted? What limitations will we have placed on us? Now, I don't think it's any question that The Division looks good, okay? It definitely does look great, and that's absolutely why a lot of people are very excited about it. It seems like it's going to be very immersive, especially with its true RPG mechanics and story intertwined. But then again, so is Destiny, and the story was really flimsy floppy, and it seems like The Division as well could go awry. With so many elements from so many different games being added into it, are they going to get it all wrong? Is it all going to be half-assed, or is it actually truly going to be something great and something to look forward to? Now, there are a lot of really interesting sandbox games out there with really interesting universes, but Shards Online is the only game that really allows you to customize your own universe, your own little pocket sandbox of sorts. Yeah, some games give you interesting tools to mess around in the sandbox, but this game literally allows you to change the sandbox. Shards Online allows you to play from many different rule sets, as well as traversing different shards, experiencing different player shards, different PvE shards. All in all, it's a very interesting concept to be able to hop from sandbox to different sandbox to different sandbox. And here we have Reign of Kings, which is an early access game right now, but it's going to be released this year, and it's looking really good and very polished right now. I'm sure there's some kinks that could be worked out, but if you want to go ahead and play it right now, it's actually a ton of fun. It's basically kind of like maybe take Skyrim and mix it a little bit with Minecraft, and there you go. You have Reign of Kings. So the themality is a very low fantasy, medieval setting, and you have to fight over a throne, okay? So all the players on the server can loot and do all their Minecrafty kind of things, build up castles and etc. But only one faction can own the throne. So you can own a throne, be the kings, and then you actually tax everyone else on the server. But even at the lowest level of gameplay, it just seems fun and creative, and it seems like you just have a true sandbox game here with medieval stylings. And there's a couple of other games out there with a similar themality, but I think Reign of Kings is the best medieval sandbox game out there. Now we have Black Desert Online, an amazing and beautiful game coming out by Pearl Abyss, and it seems like it's actually going to borrow a lot from sandbox games. It has a lot of sandbox elements, such as open world PvP, player housing, player-driven economy, an open-ended leveling system that's literally open-ended, there's no level cap, and then that mixed with the usual MMO and RPG archetypes makes Black Desert seem appealing for those who are fans of hardcore sandbox gameplay and PvP, as well as those who are normally RPG players or MMO players. It'll probably be as much of a sandbox as Arcade was, but infinitely more inventive. Our number one spot is going to go to Star Citizen. I don't think anybody didn't see that coming. It was pretty obvious. Star Citizen just has so much hype that it absolutely cannot fail. Okay, can fail, but it probably won't fail. It's got so many dedicated developers on it, so many players invested in this game, and yeah, the investment's actually pretty high if you see the cost of some of these ships. But then again, that risk and reward gameplay is what we love about sandbox archetypes, and so this game promising not just a continent, not just a single open world, but a seamless universe of people, of the economy, of these amazing dogfights, these mechanics, this universe, this entire universe of this game that we are going to be able to experience and play is going to be fantastic. It literally looks like a first-person version of EVE Online, and we see how EVE is doing. Yeah, that's an amazing sandbox game. Now let's bring in a little bit more immersion, and let's usher in a new era, the next generation of sandbox MMOs with Star Citizen. Alright guys, so I know a lot of these games look really ambitious, and they probably are, and yeah, the hype might die, they might not live up to it, but in the end, we will be here, we will give you the first impressions whenever those games do hit. Absolutely, make sure to like and subscribe to stay tuned for that, and thanks Attack, please come back. Check out MMO ATK if you want to check out more articles as well, and as always, we're going to be here, and always going to be playing games and having fun. So stay tuned, and we'll see you again later.
Did you like hearing Halo 1? Halo CE. The best Halo, as I like to call it. The most intuitive Halo.
I did not know this before the Master Chief Collection. I fucking hate Halo 1 with a living passion. What a bad fucking game. I mean, you play half the game, it's new levels. The second half of the game... Oh.
That was the loudest sound we ever recorded on this show.
Oh, I see it.
You broke it.